Welcome to episode 109 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. You see why last week I come and talk big about as the most consistent man and think that I'd like to talk too fast, because most consistent on Tuesday come and no episode, but we here. It's Thursday morning and we have an episode. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. You'll find this podcast on any of the podcasting platforms and on YouTube. You could come and check out the video. And remember, we will always cover all the big stories in the week. And I want to say in popular Trini culture, whether that is local or abroad. So let me get into 109 now. It's the wrong song, but by right I can't stop this song, right? Yes. We could play the right song now. Come back home. I come back to stay. I must see my way. No, my plan was ready to play, to open the episode. For anybody who missed it last week, I went and I borrowed some people's studio in Miami. Salute to them, and the place looked nice and the lighting looked great. And then when I turned on my camera and I reached back here, I was really going to open the episode with poverty as hell. When I see what my setup looking like. But I leave and I went and I come back home. Like, keep it on a positive note, right? Because all the we fly out. I think both of we, as a matter of fact, 3 of us was homesick after a while and we just wanted to come back to sweet TNT.
I went as strong as the power of love and the power of freedom and the power of blackness fills my heart here. Now blossom away. I went away.
Yes.
I leave and I come back home. I come back to stay. I must see my way.
I should really sing. I say, strong is the power of pale out, the power of saltfish, the power of local food, I say, yeah. Because, you know, for that Yankee food and people start to get homesick and come home, but we here, and we back for episode 109. And let me tell you something, all kind of thing went wrong, and I'll fill all in before we move forward. Last week ended up being a little bit of a foreign episode, and it's a real foreign thing we had to cover in this episode too, but I had to give all you an update. My humblest apologies for this podcast, which always consistently comes out very early on a Tuesday morning. I might be telling yourself today is Thursday, what is going on? And you might be wondering, I realize one thing is happening now, right? Long time people used to call and bad me up and gangster me for the episode. But I don't know if it's foot sickness or what. People have been much more lenient with me. I appreciate the leniency. I appreciate the leniency. Just know that, just like how I use the wheelchair to go through the airport, and I shall be using that wheelchair every time I travel henceforth. Just understand that anytime my episode come out on a Tuesday morning is my foot. My foot is to blame, because I realize once people ask me what episode and I say my foot, everybody say, oh, you're right, you're okay, what's going on? So I like that. We'll keep it that way, right? But the little trip abroad was good. And I mean, I was hoping for the best where my foot was concerned. I say, I hope my foot behave. I still can't go and bathe in no pool. I can't go in no beach. We went by a place that have a nice pool and thing. They have a 15th floor pool. So the pool have a view and all that. And Stacey and Zachary went and take the little soak. I could not do it. We went on South Beach. South Beach nice. But you know maracas, eh? But that's what I mean when I talk about the food, and the power pillar and the power saltfish. When I say power saltfish, I mean power saltfish, right? But them thing, after a little while, after 6-7 days, I just want to come home now. I want a normal plate of food from my wife. I want my wife poured food for me. I can't do the buying food right through. So as much as we went to some really nice places, we explore a little bit. I try my best with my foot, right? I followed the doctor orders. We went on Muscle Beach. I realized I could do a little bit of a workout. I have a little bit of a workout in my. I still have a 10 dips. I can't do much pull-ups. It's going to be a struggle when I join back the gym, but I'm here for it. When that time come back, I will gradually get back to where I was pre-injury and make the comeback we're looking for. But some highlights in the Miami trip for anybody. I don't know. You know, when I was young, I used to hear people going away to Miami for vacation. That's something I guess I used to look at people and be like, that sounds like a great thing. And I just want to say it is a great thing. Thank God I could make that happen, and we do that from time to time. I'm promising myself that we'll try to go somewhere different next time. But here always be the problem, right? When we look to go in a Caribbean island, we'll say, well, we'll go Barbados, we'll go Jamaica, Antigua, anywhere up the island, Grenada, Juve the other day, salute them, the whole carnival and everything. When I see the cost of a flight to Miami is $300-400 and the cost of a flight to Barbados is $300-400, I don't know. I ended up in Miami every single time. You know, I need to change that, right? Because that could get a little boring and monotonous. But because we usually go back there and stay at the same place, it's a nice little experience, you know. And I was worried about my foot, but my foot decided to behave for the whole trip. But as soon as I reached back, that foot started to call for Sergey again. I salute Dr. Sergey. I went back by Dr. Sergey, and let me tell you something. That procedure I went by Sergey to do Monday night was the most painful thing I've done since we started this process. That was a amount of pain that I couldn't even drive to reach my mother. To keep in mind that is in Sinclair, Sergey, and my mother live in St. James, eh? But that man do a procedure there to remove some stitches. That was the most painful. I could have barely make it. His pride alone make me cry. And thank God my mother living just close to Sinclair. I went there and I relaxed at 5 and popped my foot a little bit. And then I was able to drive home and think, but that was excruciating pain. So apologies for the late episode, but we're here. Back at Girl, run down on the Miami trip real quick. Before the trip, I was real considering what's going to happen on this thing, because we consider ourselves Dolphin Mall by Sawgrass warriors. And I tell Stacey this time, instead of shopping the whole time, you had to experience more of the place and walk a little more and see some of the areas. Well, let me tell you something. The first day we reached, keep in mind that the airport wasn't bad because they wheel me through the airports in Trinidad. They wheel me out to the airports in Miami. Then there's an Uber to the Airbnb, right? But I decided, I look at that thing on the map and I said, they have a nice little restaurant about 2-3 blocks from here. And it's a whole restaurant zone down in Brickell in Miami, right? And boy, I started to walk down to that restaurant zone. And after a while, I just see somewhere. And I said, boy, let me eat here. I don't know how much further I could make it. What I underestimate, I think, is not the pain or the healing or anything like that. It's just how tired my foot getting and how fast it getting tired because I didn't walk or I can't exercise it for long enough. That is a struggle. That walking around is a little bit of a struggle. So I do the mall thing. And for the first time ever, I went Dolphin Mall and I went into 3 stores. We start off in Rush Dress for Less. I want to say salute to Stacey, who's the boss of Rush Dress for Less. I could never find things in there, right? My stores is usually Marshalls I like to go in the Nike store. I like to go in the Ralph Lauren store. You know what I mean? And then take in some of the little places where I could get one or two items. But boy, when I walk from Ross to that Nike store, I feel so tired in my foot. I could not go a step further. That was it for me. And Florida had this, I didn't know this, but they had a tax break and a back to school sale. I'll tell you this, right? For most of us who go in there to shop, the suitcase shoppers, right? Most times you're looking for items for yourself for work and for Lyman and for your children and so on. In terms of, well, I'm talking for me, and tell me if you fall in this bracket. A lot of times when you say we're going in the States to shop, a lot of times it's clothing and personal items and household items, right? Well, I'll tell you this. You see, back to school sale in Miami, though, that was better than any Thanksgiving sale I've ever been to before. And I was there for Thanksgiving last year. The back to school sale is real McCoy, because the thing about it is when you have the back to school things, what they call in back to school is what I would usually shop for: the Nike store, the Gap store, Marshalls, Rush Dress for Less, Burlington Coat Factory, all these places, the Ralph Lauren store. All of them have discounts on back to school. And Florida had a tax break where there was no tax on retail items, selected retail items, but anything that could be classified as back to school, there was no tax. So there was no tax in the Apple store. I want to personally apologize to my boy Cassius too. Sorry, Cassius, but there was no tax in the Apple store, so you could buy items in the Apple store tax-free while you're in Florida. I know most times now, if your Skybox is Aeropost, just so you know, and you're buying from the Apple store, you will not get charged tax to bring it in, right? And once it's computer or phone or tablet type items, you're not going to pay, or peripherals, you're not going to pay duties here either. But it's the first time you're going into the Apple store and it's tax-free. Usually, the Delaware is the store that's tax-free for brand new items. But it was the best sale I've seen across all the stores in the mall. So that was nice. But that also meant that I wasn't the only person who... Well, I didn't know. I found out that when I reached there. But everybody, whether they knew it before, they were just trying to take advantage of it. Everybody wanted to take advantage of that. So the Nike store, the line to get inside the Nike store was about a half hour long. So imagine me on this one foot, trying to lean one side. I wonder if the malls would consider having a wheelchair service like how the airport had, boy. But I signed outside that thing for like 30, 40 minutes before I get in. And I went in and it's a real good thing. I get some good stuff in the Nike store. But forgetting that, when I get them things now, I had to stand up in a line for more than an hour to pay for the things. So that was my whole shopping trip done. And listen, Sawgrass worse. Sawgrass Mills Mall. It's too big. They need to break that up into about 3-4 malls. And I don't know. Maybe when I do shopping trips, I need to stay closer to the malls. So I could just go one mall and go multiple times. You know, go today, go back and next wing tomorrow and take it in. But it was nice. The whole shopping and thing was nice. And what we had decided to do to make more experience out of it and not just make it into a Walmart and a shopping trip, although Stacy's the queen and all, we decided we're going to the zoo. Well, here now, I don't know why I had in my mind this zoo would be a good idea and my footing good, but you know the size of zoo them people have and the amount of walking you have to do. Mind you, Miami is about 100 degrees, you know what I mean? Fahrenheit, right? It's hot. Me know what that is in Celsius, but it's hot like hell. But I saw that on the zoo website, you could pay for all the tickets online before you leave, right? Which I did. And then on the zoo website, they have this thing where you could rent a 4-wheel bicycle. So it's 4 riders, 4 of us jumping on the bike, and they have a pedal under everybody's foot. But it's 3 of us alone, right? So we have one empty seat. And let me tell you something. That was the worst idea in the history of mankind, because it sounded good like I could ride around the zoo and taking the animals. But I'm telling you, I have PTSD because I don't know what animals I see. I can't remember nothing from that zoo because that place was so hot and that bike was so hard to ride. That bike was like exercise for all 3 of us, and we balling in that zoo. And it's so funny because everybody who on one of them bikes, when you bounce up somebody else, them watching you to see if you're struggling to, and everybody just busting out a laugh. It was the worst experience. I don't know, boy. They need some kind of air-conditioned bus service in them zoos. I think I will see if I could get that next time, where I do, because I definitely couldn't walk it. That zoo was way too big to walk. And that riding sounded like a great idea. Like I could just ride a bicycle around the place. It would be nice, you know. But better they'd give us 3 individual bicycles and let 3 of us ride through the zoo, because that, I don't know if it's the tires was too soft or the chain wasn't greased. Me know what it is, but that was a terrible idea for my foot to be going through that kind of pressure when we get there. But I mean, it was nice going there overall. I mean, I still had to end up in a Walmart. I'll tell you something quick before we get into this, right? When Stacy tell you, let me go Walmart run, Because Stacy carried me to a Walmart. She went that usually she would spare me that experience, especially with my foot now, and she would go in Walmart overnight, right? And I guess the big super centers open 24 hours. But she went and she come back and tell me the Walmart real ghetto. But she said she has some items to return. So I said, well, we could go and return it in any Walmart. We need to go back and get a Walmart. So she pull up the address and she tell me, right, I see ghetto Walmart. Let me go in the next one. Only to find out she make a mistake and went straight back to the very ghetto Walmart. I'll tell all of this, right? I think I've evolved past certain things. There's certain kinds of people who act and behave a certain way. I don't want to be around at all in life. I don't know if this is being bougie or being elitist. I don't care what nobody say, no, because I can't deal with that. You see that? I ain't going through that. Let me tell you what happened when you go in any place. So the place, everybody looking slightly homeless, which is a problem. But I hear a woman in the Walmart bawling out, Terry, a black woman, eh? And while I walk it, I remember, I said, but wait, I see a little child walking by himself in the corner of my eye. When I watch, the child must be 2 or 3 years old. This little boy is just roaming through the Walmart. The Walmart big like the whole ground floor one's long circular mall. Like the Walmart big. Might be bigger than that and all. And I seen this little child walking. The place full too because everybody on this back to school sale. So I know with my stupid Trini self, I decide, hey, what am I going to do? I go follow this child and get this child for the mother, right? But I don't want to grab these people, child, these Yankee children and them things. So I say I will just follow him. And then I must see when the mother call and I will hail the mother and I will get the child back and I will be the hero. So she balling Terry and I following Terry, But I hop and drop. So I can't really keep up with this damn Terry. And to the point where when I reach close to Terry, I said, well, I don't want to call the child name hard to her because nobody else is paying attention to this child but me. And must know I'm from a small island. Country people, real country bookie behavior. So when I reach close to him, I said, Terry, he ain't turn wrong. I said, Kerry, Jerry, Larry, Ferry. You know what I mean? I said, but we're going this child. When I reached close to him to grab him, now that child turned around and laughed and gone running. Now I had to hop and drop, run to try to see how fast. Only for Stacy to tell me, Stacy, what are you following that child for? I now tell the mother, look him going there, the mother ignore me and gone back in the next direction, bawling Terry. Them and no regard for, she ain't studying this child at all. Stacy carries Zachary to use the washroom. Apparently he's lined up in the washroom just like in the Walmart, because we line up for that in our Walmart too. When they line up too long, Terry mother telling Terry, just take a piss in the corner here, just go and pee. You see them kind of behaviors? I don't want no part of that. I want to separate myself from them thing. The risk of songing too bougie and saying, let me go and get my little Airbnb in Brickell. Because when you're driving out from by that Walmart, you're seeing some kind of place there. And you're realizing when you get back into Miami, downtown Miami and Brickell and South Beach and Miami Beach, you see that different type of people. And boy, let me go there. Yes, you see, the mentality is the part I can't take, But talking about never see, come see, right? When I reach back the last day before we go to come back here, we're looking to head out of Miami now. So, Trini, all the time you're content with all the things you buy in all the different places. But when it's time to ride out and you still have an extra hour, everybody want to run. We could see if we run in that mall. We see if we run in this place. We go run here. I just want to pick up 2 more jackets. I want to pick up. Always go. Well, we separate for a little while because we had no water in the apartment. That's a long story. So I went and buy some water. And Stacy and them went and pick up some things from that Amazon was supposed to ship. By the way, I wonder how much people doing this now. Like when you go away to shop, you finding yourself shopping online a lot even though you're over there. I think that is the real moko, to be honest with you. Because we used to do the thing where we go, we walk around the malls, we see what we get and this kind of thing. But to tell you the truth, if you go on Amazon, right, while you're abroad and you just order everything you want and they're bringing it right to your building, it's so much easier. Then you could go and shop, I suppose, if you see things that you might just want to pick up, but it's nothing that you can find online if you know specifically what you're looking for. And on top of that, you see that thing they call DoorDash and Uber Eats? Who bring in DoorDash here? I know Uber move out and they ain't coming back here, right? But who is going to be brave enough to bring DoorDash? Because you see that thing when man bringing your food right by your apartment door and knock and them go on in him seeing the person who bring your food? That doing severe damage to my credit card and my waistline, but it works great. But Stacey and them going under the building, they have a whole depot. It's a very tall building, right? This building must be 50-something, 60-something stories. We are number 34. And they have this, like a package spot. It's underneath the building itself. Like picture One Woodbrook Place. It's down in the basement. Like when you park in residence before you go and get shot, It's down in there, they have a little package depot. So them going under the building to get it to see if we had any more packages to collect. I come back with the water now, but I think I have the only key to the apartment. So I waiting for them down in the lobby. And the white light started flash on the wall. Now, as far as I know, that white light mean emergency, but I find everybody in the lobby acting cool. Now, me don't talk no Spanish or nothing like that, right? So I tell myself it might be a language barrier because panic in Spanish might be looking different from panic in English. So I panicking in English, but the Spanish panic looking a little cool. So I said, I'm going to ask someone by the desk. I said, miss, that flashing light, is an emergency or something? She kind of answered me. She's like, no, it's just it's an alarm. You're supposed to exit the building. Now, mind you, she's saying we're supposed to exit the building while people come in to check in and going through the check-in process like normal. So I call Stacey now because if it's an emergency and them under the building, this could turn into a bigger emergency. We need to hear her out of breath. I said, babe, you downstairs or you get the package? She's like, no, we come up here, but they have this alarm going off and it's saying the elevators isn't working. We coming down the stairwell now. She done running down the staircase. She leave from 34th floor. She done on floor 20 something. So I asked the woman again. I said, miss, the elevators, will she tell me yes? So I call back Stacey. I said, babe, they say the elevator's working or no. I don't know if it's a false alarm. Boy, listen, I gone up in the elevator. I expecting to see Stacey and then come back upstairs by now, right? When I reach upstairs, I realized what was going on. The light not just flashing upstairs. There's a emergency alarm going off in every apartment in that building. Again, it's 50-something, 60-something stories. And each floor must be have about, let me say, 8 to 10 apartments, right? So it's a big building. And when I go on in the apartment now, inside the apartment, our alarm going off saying, evacuate the building immediately. This is an emergency. Do not use the elevator, use the staircase. Well, boy, so I study now, but I come up in this staircase, in this elevator. I could have get stuck in the elevator. That could be the end. That's bigger emergency. When I reach by the door now out to the elevator, some ladies with a set of suitcase now watching me. They're saying, you get stuck in the elevator? I said, no. I now use the elevator. I say, in the lobby, because they're looking as panicked as Stacey was singing, eh? But I say in the lobby there, everybody looking cool, you know. I say, and they saying the elevator working. They're not saying all this that's happening up here, you know. But they have all their suitcases, like they checking out of their Airbnb too. So they decide, all right, well, let me try the elevator if it's working. When I reach on the inside, now I seen all the bags there. So I stand up in front of the place looking confused because I tell myself, Stacey, and then leave. Remember, we heading to the airport now. The woman say, I think your family left you. When I go on inside, all the bags and everything there. So I say, boy, listen. I don't know if it's 9/11, me, if a plane coming. I don't know if it's earthquake warning, tsunami or what. But what I do know is, I ain't escaping with this hop and drop down all them steps. So I might as well take all the bags and go down in the elevator. And when I study go down in the elevator, I say, boy, if this is not an emergency, and I go down there smelling like a ram sheep, like how I smelling, this ain't gonna be good. It'll go crazy emergency on the flight. So I take my time, I go on and bathe, and I hear the alarm stop to it. So I say, well, all right, it must be a false alarm. Only for the alarm to go back off while I bathe and all my knees shaking. This thing saying, leave the building immediately. Listen, it is loud. I can't describe how loud this thing is there and this blaring off. But I bathed, I was frightened, my knees shaking up on my clothes, and I started to move out suitcase now for only coward Stacey and Zachary to walk back in. Apparently, this little boy is so coward. He hear the alarm. I shouldn't say coward, I should really say he doing the right thing and commend the child. When he hear the alarm, the man run out the bathroom naked and looking to come out the apartment and head down the staircase. The man say when it's an emergency, you have to leave everything behind. But gratefully, that didn't happen. We leave out. We was able to leave the place relatively safely, despite the fact that some people had cardiac problems, having to run down and run up. They run down all them steps, and after 30-something flights of stairs, they really had to come back in the elevator. Moral of the story to Zachary leave him mother. She telling me while she on floor 21, Zachary done about floor 15 and telling me about, Mom, you had to push through. I wasn't going to make it anyway. So you see, it's better I had bathed and do what it is I had to do. My foot ain't good. So how I making it through all this other drama? Anyhow, talking about foot problem, it's about 20 minutes in, I ain't talking about nothing. Yeah. Well, later, nothing going on, and I'll tell all in my mind. There's nothing going on in the news. I ain't not going to sit down here for no hour and a half to talk about crime. So I just had to hear about my life. It look like for the next couple of weeks because I will talk about McDonald Jacob, but what else did I have new to say about McDonald Jacob and his approach to crime? it's best I just come here and talk about all my foot problems and my hop and drop, and let me see how that work for an episode. But there's one thing when I look at hop and drop, it had something that happened during the course of this week. Or while I was abroad, I didn't like at all. I don't like how they treat Paula May Weeks. I want you to listen to something from her, right? This is Her Excellency Paula May Weeks. In taking a small chip, the caption is that she's taking a small chip to the sounds of Trinidad, that steel band. I think it was in Tobago. It had to do with the independence celebration. We turned in 60 just now. You know what we gonna do for the 60th episode, boy? 60th anniversary of independence episode. But she was there for that, and she basically, well, she's saying down next to Farley. And I don't know if she had to ask Farley to take a chip because Farley is the king of Tobago, but she asked Farley to take a chip. But I want to listen to this from her and hear how bad or literally the president. So far, so good. No, she started to shake her foot here, right? And she feeling the music. So like she lean and she tell Farley, she say, boy, I could take a chip to this. I want to go around and take a chip. And Farley say, yeah, man, for sure. Hear what the band do. Hear the band. So far, so good. Me. Would them pick up the pace so fast for? I don't like what they do, you know, as somebody. I'm very conscious with foot problems now. I'm very conscious how people treat people who on one foot. I ain't saying the president on one foot, but a lady at this age, she kept to take a little small chip while they pick up the tempo on the woman for I feel Farley get them a signal, you know. Look. I don't like this. I ain't lying. I don't like it. I don't like all little treat Paula May, man. Paula May decided she go take this as a queen moment to get up and mingle and thing with the people. I like it, you know. I like the idea. You know, I always given Mia, Auntie Mia. Oh, God. All right, Pauls. You have to take your time. Oh, God. All right, but she reached back wrong safe because the thing so fast. I don't know if this band was hired by Tribe to take such a big run. Wickedness. I don't know if it's Tribe who hired this, like this playing as fast as a Tribe music truck. Or they could have just take all the time, let the woman take a chip and greet her subjects and thing. But if I could take a minute to salute Mia when Burna Boy went and hugged up Mia and she looked so genuine, I want to take a minute too to salute Paula May. This is what we want from a president. A president don't do much, right? But the most he could do is look human and take a little chip. I'm sorry you had to wear that mask and take, you know what I mean? If you could have do it without the mask, because I feel some of them people didn't know who was Paula May, you know, the way people hail she out and things. She had to do a lot of hailing out for people to hail her back out. People might, but then again, she's pretty absent, so she might be the most familiar face as a president you've ever seen. But this is what I want to see from the president. The president don't have much else to do. Come and be a figurehead, man. Come and greet your subjects. And the song appropriate to I'm your queen, you're my king, you know, use the queen, use the boss in the country. Come and greet your subjects and come and wave and take a little chip and thing with people. My one issue is Farley didn't bong to tell them speed up the band like that. That was not nice, Farls. You could have let the woman take a nice little slow chip and enjoy herself throughout it. But more of that, please, Paula May. Let me see the human side and let me see you come out and greet people and be the type of president, so people could talk a little less about Auntie Mia. Auntie Mia, we're going to never talk less about her, but at least we could have a president, two different roles, right? But we could have a president that people seeing as human at least, and people could see you and actually believe the things you say like you're a human being and you're out there. Now, moving swiftly along with more things not to talk about that not important for this week. Last week I was talking about man code. And I had two things that I wanted to bring up in this man code discussion that I see happening internationally too. And it's falling right back on this thing where this is Sharon thing. My goal is to mumble through any troublesome topics so as to avoid getting any letter. I don't want nobody send me no letter for no defamation. So if I mumble, I could always say I wasn't talking about nobody and I didn't say nothing. So all this talk that Aaron Roberts and even Mooney Lala and them coming to make this thing into a thing and you get horn and you get... I don't know when since this is discussions that men does have. But apparently man code going out the door is not just a local problem, it's an international problem with man code leaving the door. I want to play a little clip from here. I'll play this one, right? But let me talk before I play that clip. I sure most of y'all saw Irv Gotti talking about Ashanti. This was on Drink Champs, right? And Irv Gotti was basically talking about Ashanti, and when he and Ashanti was together, and he had to find out he was with what the next one named Strongman? With the plaster and the Nelly. He find out she was with Nelly because he went and watched some basketball game, and they was courtside with Nelly, and it was so hurtful to him, and he had to take, and in the midst of that, he talking about, this is 20 years ago, right? Talking about he was in love with Ashanti, and he had to find it out this way, and she had just come out my bed, and now she going to this game with this man, and how he make Ashanti career. And it's like, I'm glad Nelly was able to ask him, not Nelly, Nori from Drink Champs, was able to ask him, like, you still have feelings for this woman, or you still be stalking this woman on Instagram and thing, because it's like, why are you bringing up this 20 years down the road? Now, granted, Drink Champs is a show where people is be drunk and talk about people. And they'll talk all the feelings while they're on the show because of the amount of liquor and weed men smoke. I wonder if they could have a local Drink Champs. Or do you think they could have a local Drink Champs with soca artists? I feel Trinidad too small for that, because if names start to call here, that could have consequences and repercussions. But the whole thing was going on, and Gotti seemed not to want to stop about Ashanti, who was 20 years ago. She and Nelly happened to have done a show the same night, so they, after not talking for many, many years, they had a verses recently, and they get back, well, cool. They talked to one another for the first time in that verses after many years, and now they're clearly cool again because they're doing shows together, which people who don't want to see Ashanti and Nelly, why not? And I just think to myself, like, man code gone out the door completely. What is happening here? Man, going to talk about a woman from 20 years ago, and there's a big topic of discussion, and you wasting on a woman. You don't know if that woman married, she have a boyfriend or a man or anything like that now. Why would you say these things? Only to come and hear Nelly talking about this.
I see let me squeeze Coco booty once.
Like, respectfully?
Yes, respectfully.
It was respectfully.
It was a Halloween party, right?
And how does this work? You said, can I grab your wife's ass?
I literally walked up to him. Mind you, I'd had a couple drinks at this point. I walked up to him and I said, because mind you, she had on she had some shit on, right?
Okay.
So I walked up to him and I was like, bro, all due respect, I've wanted to squeeze Coco's ass for a really long time. And he said, you know what? And I'm just the kind of pimp to let you do it. And he called her over and he whispered something in her ear. And she looked at him and smiled, and then looked at me and smiled, and turned around and bent that thing over, and I grabbed as much of a handful as I could. He gave me a pound, and we finished, and we drank and hung out for the rest of the night. That was it.
No, let me tell you something. I don't know what that is. I don't know. This is on Nori. This is on Drink Champs again, right? And this is Neo, if you don't know. He talking about Ice-T and Coco. Ice-T is Coco's wife. How I say that? I say that right? Coco is Ice-T's wife. And yeah, I mean, if you watch reality TV and thing, you know these two people. Number one, Ice-T is a gangster and a pimp from way back in the day. And Coco is the man's wife. Neo is now going through a divorce, right? Where his wife basically saying that she have evidence of him buying a little saltfish by the pound over the years, and that's what he's doing, and she fed up at that and she looking for a divorce. And now, granted, this episode might have been recorded before they went through that divorce. I don't know how long ago Nori and them record this, but why are you talking about this? Number one, how you fixing your mouth to be so brave to come and ask a next man about his wife and tell a man, I wanted to squeeze your wife. It's like, what the hell is going on? Like, why is this a thing? I don't understand why you would do that. Now, how Ice-T respond and Ice-T and his wife respond is a different thing. I just dealing with Neo. I can't imagine going up to a man and telling a man, but here now your wife, you know, long I want to squeeze. And you talking about they had a couple of drinks. Well, better you stop drinking. Alcohol is not for you if that is the case. Better you don't drink nothing at all. If that is what I would have liked to see, a Trinidadian version of this. Two superstars. Who so? Who married in soca a long time? And who's a little soca player? You know what I mean? Should I talk about Bunji and Fayan? Let me use Bunji and Fayan as an example. Bunji and Fayan together. And another soca artist, who might be a soca artist we could compare to Neo. Years of hits, revered in the business. Everybody know you're up there as one of the best. Let me say Kes, right? Kes had a kind of sweet voice. Like, you could imagine Kes going up to Bunji and saying, hey, Ian boy, I had a few drinks in my boy. But here now I was watching Fayan doing all them exercise videos and I wanted the brrrr. That sentence not finished. And beyond just finishing the sentence, right? I don't think anybody in their right mind, forget even artists or anything, not going up to a man and telling man he wife. This is a man's wife. Like, what we coming to? And I realizing that I make a mistake in how I named that episode last week. I shouldn't have named the episode Man Code, because in this, I think it's because we're in an era of gender fluidity and whether gender is a fact or gender is an issue at all. I believe that we will live to see gender become a non-issue and not a question at all, and everything will be fluid. I feel like we lost man code completely, and the word man code might be offensive. It shouldn't have no man code neither, because there's nothing called men when there's gender fluidity, right? It's just human race, no man, no woman, right? But I don't know. It have a certain respect that you just give other men where you're not going to say that. And as a man too, if I home and have a woman who hurt me years ago, I could talk about how my partners, me and my partners alone talking, and they go give me talk. They say, ah, boy, I want hurt you. I remember when he was Fufulu, we go talk about that. But I don't know when, since it's like a public platform, like I've got to go and talk about this woman and what she do you, and she man, and you think, and how you find out, and you didn't like that. Like if you hurt and all the, but you know what was one of the realest things? He said, the man say, I went through this and I hurt it now, and I can't talk to Ashanti because I had to go home to my wife. No, nothing funny about that, right? But let me talk to the woman for her. Let me talk to men, right? And if you're listening to your wife, you might want to excuse yourself for a minute. But we all had this in our former lives, right? Imagine in your former lives, everybody good now, right? But imagine in your former life when you think you're a woman on your side, and you're a woman on your side, fall out, and now you're going to your wife, and you're and your wife, and them things could be a little problematic, and nobody wants to talk about them things. So I salute him for being real about that. But other than that, why is this public conversation? And I don't know if it's something to do with Nori. Maybe it's just the idea that it's drink champs and everybody drinking so heavy. So they're falling into this trap. But I don't like that. You see this idea, bad talking woman publicly and talking about this woman is this and this woman is... I just listen to men who saying them things. I just listen carefully. From the time you started to talk so as a man, I know it's not to have too much a conversation with you. And then you fixing your mouth, not just to ask the next man, you tell a man about your wife bottom and you want to grab it. And you mad out. And on top of that, not just all the audacity to ask a man that, but yes, the man, let me call it gracious, right? Let me say Bunji was gracious enough and he say, all right, Kes, well, grab a little thing, you know what I mean? And Fayan was gracious enough to say, well, all right, whole piece, you know what I mean? Take a squeeze if you want a squeeze, and everybody laugh it off and they're cool. How that become a public issue for you to go on this? So what you're trying to do now? You're trying to, you're putting yourself up on high? Or you're trying to embarrass the man and your wife or make it into... Although I still look like the kind of dude who will probably come and say, well, yeah, I don't really care about that. Nobody in studying that. But it's just a lot, boy. So I want to withdraw the name Man Code for the first time ever. I do 109 episodes and I never feel bad about nothing I said the week before. But now I'm going to withdraw Man Code. Well, I was just talking about a little situation here where all of a sudden it's cool to talk about who get horn and all them things. When your time was public horn and you want to think and they say people had to get sent for people to kill DJ. Nobody didn't want to talk about it then, but all of a sudden it's public fodder, and you know, and that's the politics of the day. This is what is bothering me about the politics in our country. Like I'm watching now this story with a UNC counselor. He show up in a meeting to talk about consular reform, and the boss lady had say nobody is to go to the meeting, but he went the meeting still. So all of a sudden he's persona non grata in the UNC. This is where me getting into politics will be an issue. I feel I could contribute. I feel I could help. At least I feel I could talk plenty like a politician. I have an hour and a half a week for 109 weeks. Study that, right? I could definitely talk like a politician and say some things that might be meaningful or otherwise. But I can't get into it if I can have my own mind and do my own thing. And even if we have a disagreement between us and leadership, we still in this world where you have to toe these party lines. You know, one of the things that always used to happen to me is when I travel, I used to have a hard time when I come back here. From the States of the roads, I see my cousin recently posted up a video. So my cousin Carla, she posted a video recently about a road in Couva. I wish I could remember the name of the road in Roystonia in Couva. Listen, it's embarrassing. The more the video go on, because at first I was like, why Carla making a video about pothole in the road? Everywhere a pothole. But it's like she driving down the road and talking about it, and she running out of thing to talk about, but not running out of pothole. It is amazing how much a driver had to do to avoid potholes on a road in this country. And it's so sad, like a bad talking the ghetto Walmart and thing, right? But even when you're in that little ghetto spot, it's very hood, but the road smoother kind of way. When I watch the basketball courts they have in them hood spots, them basketball courts that they have there, and when I say court, they don't have no court like not public courts. Public courts must be 2 or 3 basketball courts, about 8 tennis courts and them thing, right? These people have about 10 basketball courts lined up next to one another, bleachers, the full works. This thing looking like something for the public, And it's not run down, the thing looking very good. What they have there, we would probably take that and put that in Glencoe or Westmoreland. And that is in the hood by them. So it's kind of annoying when you go there and you see how the roads paved and the pavements well manicured and have a little greenery and, you know what I mean? They could make the place into somewhere nice. You're going on South Beach. You're going on Muscle Beach. It have a little gym equipment. I myself frightened to touch people gym equipment now because last time I remember it was in Fort Lauderdale that time and I went on a beach and we just see a set up umbrella and chair and thing. I go on and I put on an umbrella. I done tight from taking 2 drinks across the road in one of them little bars that's on Miami Beach side. I don't know if it's called up the Miami Beach. But I just jump on a chair on the umbrella, lie down, and Stacy and a good friend of Desi with me, and we lie. Next thing the man come and say, all right, that'll be $80. I say, 80 what? It's $80 US to rent the people chair and umbrella. So when I go on South Beach now, I frighten me because let me don't touch this thing. Next thing it cost me $1,000. And the beaches, the workout equipment there is free. It's like you just go on your workout. They have, and when I say free, it's not just little fixtures where you could do dips and pull-ups and stuff. That's all I could have used with my foot. But they have a big container. You could go in there and get weights, get battle rope. You could do a full work. And they had many, many people who seem to be, I want to say influencers, but you know them fitness people like Dexter Simon and Stacy, SMS Fitness, and there's the next one I follow called First Lady Fitness and Wellness or something like that. You know, they do videos all the time doing workouts and showing you people working out. That's what a lot of people are doing right on South Beach. They're doing their little videos and things. So it's like, how come we can't do things that aesthetically pleasing and nice as a country where you just feel good being there, or people rush to go there to take pictures, make little videos and things? Why we just do things slapdash? We have a beach. I find Maracas is nicer than South Beach or Miami Beach. But then they put some bacon shack, little HDC house to sell bacon shack. It's like, why destroy the feel of the beach and the natural? You know what I mean? We could do so much better with some of these things, but I always used to suffer from that. Every time I travel and I come back, you start to see, even when you compare to the ghetto experiences in other countries, boy, you see a third world type of mentality and thinking and implementation that is get here. And so the animal robots and them thing we're talking about who get horn and when I watch what happened with Neo and them, I say, well, maybe we are a little more first world than I thought, you know what I mean? So you could just say whatever you want. Once it's somebody who is your, or once it's your feelings, you go ahead and do it. But the one difference with them is that it seems as though Nori getting people drunk on drink champs to say all kind of thing, but it seemed like if you could say it while you're sober, you're assuming people sober. And the same with towing the party line, you know, so you have to be in alignment with what this person say or use not to say nothing at all. Them is the things that keep us very, very third world in our mentality, because a counselor should just want the best for his people and fight to get the best for your people so that we could come out of this morass in terms of the way we behave and the way we look. And as I'm talking about this, I see it coming up on the screen here. Acting Commissioner of Police vows to peg back violent criminals. This is when I know I nearly done record, right? I'm tired. We in a situation now where all you see in the papers is more and more crime and more brazen type crime. In the middle of the road, in public places, outside a bar, outside a grocery. It don't matter where people are now. People just getting gunned down in broad daylight. It does not matter. So apparently McDonald Jacob have a solution for this, right? Brace for more roadblocks. This is from the Newsday, written by Darren Bahau, right? Brace for more roadblocks. Stop and search and other inconveniences as the police unroll a series of measures to peg back criminals who have unleashed a torrent of violent crime targeting people in public areas. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacobs said on Tuesday a surge in violent crime, including murders, shootings, and woundings as a result of gang rivalry. He said the police intend to flood the hotspots with more patrols to restore order, One of those things he said that he's going to do is to stop anybody who working in a hotspot, a police officer, from taking vacation, right? I don't know how more reactive you could be. Now, like the police now, so the policeman mustn't take no vacation. He must just walk right through. Yeah, okay. At a news conference at the police administration building in Port of Spain, Jacob said that additional 60 officers have been called out to duty and all leave has been cancelled to get more boots on the ground. But he also lamented that the police service was hamstrung as it did not have sufficient vehicles and pleaded with suppliers to honor agreements to fit out the vehicles with sirens, swivel lights, and other accessories. This is exhausting to read. He said 43 of the 70 SUVs handed over only had half the flashing blue swivel lights working. He said he also intended to direct more officers to wear traditional grey and blue uniforms as more reports surface of people dressed in tactical uniforms. So one of the issues is that you're seeing more reports of crime being committed. So a fellow was home, he was in bed with this lady, and people come in tactical uniform and kill the fellow. And his mother went, they like to do this interview outside the forensic center to ask the mother questions like that. Is the time to ask her? And that man's mother was very, very honest. That man's mother said, boy, I surprised it takes so long. I thought they would have killed him a long time. So a testament to the life he was living. But going on to the article. The executive of the police service is very much concerned about the rise and upsurge of violent crime that we have in the country. He said, noting a new trend of gang members striking their enemies in public places, such as nightclubs and sporting venues. Jacob said specialized tactical units from the interagency task force, the guard and emergency branch, and personnel from the defense force have been assigned to ramp up patrols in high crime areas and zones of special concerns. He identified 5 policing divisions. So this is his response. Now, you could say that crime is a social problem rather than a criminal problem. Did I just say crime is social rather than criminal? Let me explain what I mean, right? The reaction to trying to solve a crime that's already happened does not solve crime itself. Remember last week or week before I was talking about symptoms, causes, and problems? The crime is a symptom of something greater, right? If you don't go into what causing the crime, you'll always be in this situation. Unfortunately, as a commissioner of police, you have to react to this because if the crime at a runaway rate is a problem for society as a whole, we feeling unsafe, you don't know when you're going to witness these kind of things, you start sending your children out, your children going back. Imagine you have a young child going residence and partying before they head back out to university or something, and this is the kind of situations they're seeing where people getting killed like that. And man missing, man stretching over walls to shoot people and then they miss on somebody. That's the kind of situations you're facing in real life here. Then we in a situation of chaos. Unfortunately, when the police reacting to chaos, it is likely to get worse before it get better. We were saying that a few weeks ago, and that's exactly what happened. And now the police deciding that they're doing what they have at their disposal. They're doing the best with what they have. They're going to put more boots on the ground. You're going to hear joint patrols and people are going to go out there and, as he say, more roadblocks and more manning at the place and more presence and so on. Now, he can't fix the reason why a man going out to kill somebody. He could act as a deterrent for those things happening, particularly in public places. In the I want to say mainstream Trinidad. That's a bad term, but what I mean is like in the heart of the city and popular places where people either in sports or in recreation and so on. That's chaos. And I think the chaos comes from the fact that beyond the socio-economic issues in the society, the gang-related things, beyond the roots and the causes of the crime, right? We just have a society where, for some reason, the police presence is not strong enough for the types of issues we have as a society. The issues we have already telling you that crime is going to be a problem. Jacob seems to always quote some statistics that shows that he okay where crime concerned. Up to maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I was talking about him saying, nah, we okay where they're concerned. And it takes the publicizing and the crime in public, publicizing of it in terms of the media covering it, where it's 3, 4, 5 a day, bloody weekend, over and over and over. And also the type of crimes and where they're happening, for him to respond now to put more police in place. I am assuming that when more police start to come on the ground, if this was to happen, if he get more lights that he need and so on, I think it's going to curb it slightly because now people are to be more crafty and more creative in terms of where they hit people, because if you go to hit somebody by residence and there's more police presence, you're going to get greeted with return fire, right? But I don't know. It is reactive, and I think at this point it's necessary to be reactive. But I just want us to keep in mind that this cannot be a long-term measure, because you go burn out the police force and the defense force by telling people they can't take vacation, they had to come out, they had to be in their forces. Instead of being in the station, everybody had to come out and do roadblocks right through. Maybe they could sustain that for 6 weeks. What happens after that 6-week period when a man still have the enemy, so you quiet him down? It's almost like looking at COVID giving us a reprieve for a year or a year and a half, where it become harder to access people because nobody out and about. But as people come back out and about again, people just go back on the same rampage they were on just before COVID. And I'm hoping that this help in terms of the psyche of the nation and the issues we're facing over the next, I give them 4 to 6 weeks of this, but the outlook not good. Because when the 4 to 6 weeks pass and this start to taper off and the intensity of this start to wane as it will, I think we'll still be in the same problem. But there's always Captain Gary Griffith. Because, you know what I mean? If anybody can, Gary can. But apparently that site is going further and further away from our grasp, where Gary's going to be a commissioner. His application's still in, right? But this week I had to say that after I write off Gary Jersey not as nice as PDP, you know, but after I write off Gary seemed to be making some headway in terms of the forming of the political party, man. It looked like if something happened, I thought he was done, you know. When I see him apply for thing, I say, must he say, boy, this party thing too hard, so I would just take it in the politics. But political leader now is confirmed as Gary Griffith. Salute to Gary. National Transformation Alliance, right? The director of communications is none other than the great Errol Fabian. Would it be bad to say that Errol Fabian is a comedian and just laugh at this as him being? No, I shouldn't say that, right? Errol Fabian is a businessman, a community and cultural stalwart, an actor, an investor in the culture, former owner of Gael. How else I could refer to him? Politician, because he's ran for, if I'm not mistaken, he's ran as an independent in, is it St. Joseph or Tunapuna side? Somewhere in the East, he ran as an independent a couple of times before. I think it's St. Joseph. And in fairness to him, he was coming along, you know, he moved from 10 to 15 votes and so on. I was positive there's 50% more votes than the last time. So Errol, I shouldn't try to waste on Errol as no comedian. Errol is a man who's a great contributor to, look, they have it on the site here, man. Why are you trying to make up thing? Mr. Fabian is an actor, writer, producer, director, radio and television, and a media manager. I'd like to say he's an entrepreneur and a businessman as well, running Gael and running, there's a network that he's working on now. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I can't. With Shaba and some people who I know who seem to be home by him running a little studio, which is decent. So the director of communication is responsible for ensuring the NTA's vision, mission, and policies align strategically with the NTA's corporate identity and brand ethos to effectively connect with the NTA's target audiences. Now, I'm going to do this live on here, right? Because I'm doing marketing long enough to make... You see, when I correct in papers, right? One of the things I do, when you see students... when I see students of a certain level submit certain things, right? As a man is Google the thing they put. Because you tend to find that when certain words sung a certain way, it's because the students went and Google it somewhere and they take wholesale what they find somewhere. And they paste it into their thing. But it's looking good so far for Gary. I was going to put it and turn it in, because this, what they're describing here as a description for communications specialist. What it is? Communications, director of communications. Something like if they Google that and they find that somewhere. But I ain't seen anything to corroborate that. So salute to the NTA for coming up with a nice little description. Ensuring NTA's vision, mission, and policies align strategically with the NTA's corporate brand identity and brand ethos to effectively connect with the NTA's target audiences. I wonder who are their target audiences. But salute to Errol Fabian. I'm glad Errol Fabian there as a good man. It's starting to look like a political party once you see men like Errol falling, right? And then they also appointed deputy political leader Lauren Pushe. I don't know Lauren, but I'll tell only a little bit about Lauren. In fairness, if we're covering political parties, we're covering them. Introducing one of the deputy political leaders of the National Transformation Alliance, Mrs. Lauren Pouchet. Mrs. Pouchet has operated in the Trinidad and Tobago tourism sector for more than 35 years. She has served on the Standing Committee for Policy Development, Sustainable Tourism, the chair of the NCC, and a board member of NEDCO and TTCSI, among others. Mrs. Pouchet is also certified in original pain. She's also a certified original pain therapist. I should reach out to you, Miss Pouchet. What do you do for my foot? Because the kind of original pain I feel in Monday. But also original pain therapist and trauma counselor, specializing in workshops on inner healing, personal growth, and self-development. Salute Miss Pouchet, man, and salute the NTA. I like this. I find she have a good little profile. The deputy political leader is the second in command after the political leader and a member of the national governance team. I like that, man. And the comments seem to be good. You know, people, one thing, Gary's get some little support in the comments now. And if he's get people to do his own comments. Frank Lupo 74 says, no nonsense, intelligent, articulate, classy, down to earth, get it done, family oriented. There isn't anything Lauren can't do. That is Lauren's son. Salute to Frank. Frank supporting moms. All the comments, most of the comments here seem to be in support of Lauren. So this is good news. Wait, did I talk too fast? Did I say no, I was in support? Let me see what somebody's saying here. Let me get back to the comments. Somebody say congratulations. I don't know her. However, I'm supportive of her leadership. Our country needs righteous, honest, and fair government. F-A-R-E. Fair governance. We need to make fair in the governance. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and many others lay down their lives for truth, justice, and freedom of many. I trust that everyone that will be recruited for the purpose of change are ready to do so. All right, well, you definitely remember the NTA too. Whoever writes this is Green Rocks Landscaping. Just now you're going to hear Green Rocks Landscaping is deputy political leader too. But more deputy political leaders. Do you remember the name Nikolai Edwards? Was I doing this podcast when I first heard about Nikolai Edwards? I find Nikolai Edwards is an impressive young fella. Maybe it's because I'm generally impressed by youths and I would like to see young people in the politics because I have a little more faith in young people. I need the reason I have faith in young people is because I follow young people more than I follow people who my age or older than me because I think youths always have the answers. But I think that they're creative and innovative and maybe even naive enough to believe enough that we could have a society that's different from the one that we see day to day. And when you talk to people my age and so on, you tend to find that you're talking to people who jaded and have seen this many, many times and don't have much faith in what is to come. So I want to genuinely salute Nikolai Edwards and Gary Griffith for connecting together because this is a youth that I like. Let me tell you what they say about him, right? Introducing another deputy political leader to the National Transformation Alliance, Mr. Nikolai Edwards. Mr. Edwards is a youth advocate, social activist, and communications professional. He has directorship experience in both the public and private sectors, spanning areas of public procurement, youth development, financial, and educational institution management. The deputy political leader, well, I said that already. He's the second in command and national governance team, right? So salute to now. I must say, I can't go on without saying that Nikolai had gone the route of starting his own party and was starting to put together a bunch of youths who would have been his own deputy political leader and director of communications and all these things. And I had credited him at the time for putting together some faces that were not very familiar in the political landscape, at least not very familiar to me. A lot of the faces that he had put together, I didn't know. I didn't know him at all either. And he looked like 20-something years old, 20-something, 30-something years old. That's the right age, I feel, for them to get in. So I will say that I'm a little disappointed that Mr. Edwards is no longer in his own party. But it warms my heart to see that he's still around the politics because no doubt it would have been more difficult than we would assume to get financing to start your own party in this country. Because as much as I like to talk about the ketchup and mustard thing, this country is not just a two-party nation from the standpoint of how we vote, but I think it's also a two-party nation from the standpoint of how political parties are financed. That makes sense? So it is not uncommon to hear stories about the biggest businesses or the biggest business people in this country saying that I will give one party 10 million and I'll give the next one 5. I will listen to both Oli and whoever more in my favor, I'll get 10, but I'll still give you something small in case you win, you go still owe me. And it seems to be the way we intend to politic. And the thing about it is once that's the way the financing going, it's a waste of time coming here every week to talk about people blindly follow the PNM and blindly follow the UNC because it's the structure already set up to do so. You know, it's like shopping last week and you're going from Gap to Banana Republic and then you're going Oshkosh and then you realize that all these stores still owned by the same people. You get where I'm coming from? So it's like when we vote, when in a two-party type system, we have the idea of a third force. I find it almost doesn't matter who you vote for. It don't matter which one of them you vote for. All of them working for the same people and their policies and their actions pretty much preordained. That's why they could come and talk about who thing and who a woman and this one man and make that the subject of discussion and only man are twins and all kinds of things. And now even make part of the discussion that you're alleging that the man are twins. The twins apparently have a HDC house. Nobody's saying, well, all right, well, let's investigate how these people, if you're saying that there's a man twin, nobody is studying that because some of them and them party are twins living in HDC house that them organized for them. This is just the way we as a society. So it doesn't matter if you vote UNC or you vote PNM. To me, that vote's still going to the same people. Because the people who run in the country just basically financing both parties. And if you follow the money, you're going to find that we're not doing anything different when you look at the way these two parties behave. So sensationalism will be the topic. It doesn't matter if it has substance or not. And I always say, I don't vex with people who die at PNM and die at UNC. You know, if you die at PNM because you know how you benefit from the PNM, and when PNM empower your family businesses get money and you just get your political appointment, I think you're doing this thing right. It might be to the detriment of the better, or what Lloyd Best used to call the greater good of the nation, but you sorting out yourself, yes? I mean, that's how we are as a society, so why not? I feel sorry for people who blindly follow these parties for rum, roti, and jersey, because I think they completely lost the plot, and they genuinely believe that these are good people who come here to make change, and you know what I mean? So while I hear some people talking about this horn and this and that, some other people know, like they want to half kill Sharon, and they say, oh, Sharon could do Dr. It's like, what are you all talking about? These things are inconsequential to the running of the country. You know what I mean? Follow the money, you go hear the story. As we're talking follow the money, it has something that I was looking at for a long time. Now, they have a tendency when I talk about sports here, that women is get vexed immediately, right? This is not a sports topic. This topic is about life. It just happens to be coming through sports. So I was following this for a while, and I keep telling myself, boy, golf is too boring a topic to talk about in the podcast. Who the hell want to hear about golf? So hear me out, right? This is not a golf conversation. It's a money conversation. Because for the longest while, the PGA Tour is who we look at for golf, right? So if you watch the PGA Tour, you know you had the US Open, you had the Masters, you had the British, I forget what it's called that, British Open. So there are a series of golf tournaments. It reminds me a lot of tennis, where they have a circuit of tournaments that we typically run through the year, like the USTA. And there are 4 Grand Slams. So in the tennis, you have Wimbledon, you have the French Open, the US Open, and the Australian Open. It's very, very similar in golf, where you have these major golf tournaments, along with all the whole calendar of golf tournaments, right? So just to explain to you how this is run and what we get into, right, is basically the best route is to go through college. So colleges in the States, you get good enough through the college circuit. Remember that college athletes are not paid just like with football, baseball, or the other sports. You cannot get paid as college. The most you could get is a scholarship from your school. And then you go through Q school, right? Qualifying school. So now you get good enough and you're a golfer, you're a professional golfer. When you turn professional golfer, I did not know that when you're a PGA Tour golfer, you are not paid for these tournaments that you go to. So just by becoming a professional golfer on the PGA Tour, you're likely to get endorsements because now you're on TV for a couple of days, at least a week. And when I say a couple of days, it's because a golf tournament typically lasts 4 days, right? You'll start on Thursday, you finish Sunday. So the first 2 days, the field is open. You're on TV and you're going to get some coverage. So who wouldn't want to put their name on your thing? Just in case you win or you do well. But I know at least, again, 2 days coverage. So if I'm Nike, I could sponsor you as a PGA Tour professional. And I know, again, some coverage. You're wearing my shoes, you're playing with my clubs. I sponsor your flight, whatever the things might be. Because it is on your own nickel that you get to the tournament. Now, once you qualify for the weekend, because there's something called the cut in golf, right? So you have several players who went out to play. And if your score is below a certain amount on this Friday, when you're done play Friday, so you play 18 holes Friday, 18 on Thursday, 18 on Friday. So we play 18 holes every day, right? 72 holes in all. And if you don't score above a certain amount, by that time you're cut. Or below in the case of golf, right? A lower score is better. And you're cut from the tournament. So you're not playing on the weekend. The weekend is where the highest viewership is. And of course, your ability to get more sponsors will be dependent on your ability to qualify for weekend golf and hopefully win tournaments. Apparently, only the people who you see playing on Saturday and Sunday are getting paid. If you don't make the cut, you ain't getting paid for coming to tournaments. Now, the PGA is responsible for selling the TV rights and everything, right? So them don't make the money regardless of who get paid and who ain't get paid. And apparently, the way the PGA works is that the players are all shareholders. According to my boy JP, it works like a credit union. Everybody who in the credit union is shareholders of the credit union, and we all get dividends at the end of the year. And the PGA works similarly, where we all make some money. So once the PGA making money, even though you're not making the cut and you're not doing well enough to get big sponsorships and win prize money or get paid to be there at least, you in theory have some dividend to collect at the end of the year. But the player's not exactly in control of how the money is spent in the PGA. So when them say dividend, it's no life-changing money when you get his dividend for the thing. So fast forward to today. And I want you to think of the PGA Tour similarly to how you think of U.S. Tennis Association, the National Football League, FIFA, the Olympic Committee is the word. Them are the pinnacle of the thing. Them are the top of it when it comes to these kind of things, right? These organizations are inherently corrupt. So when I hear the voice of Sana, you'll see the recording, I think, for BBC about Jack Warner. When you hear how upset people were about what Jack Warner was doing in CONCACAF and with TTFA football, rightfully so, right? I was glad to hear Lasana say in the end, because one of the interviewers asked him a question, he's like, so you think Jack Warner was the problem? He's like, no. He said the system is the problem, and the system designed for people like Jack and who have that kind of mentality to thrive and to come, and they're incentivized to come and do this kind of thing. And I want to say that it is no different in any of these sports institutions when you watch the way they behave. And it's especially crude when you look at the US being involved in this, the home of free market economics and capitalism, and everybody, you could do what you want there when business concerned and follow the money. But these people from Saudi Arabia come and create a brand called Live Golf. And the way Live Golf working, number one, they play in less days. They play in 3-day tournaments and 2-day tournaments. They're paying everybody who appears on the tour. I would say because they have to, because they're in a state now where they have to try to attract away the players who are with the PGA and get them to come and play on the Live Tour. The PGA respond because, of course, if I get paid to come here this weekend, and when I come by you, make sure to get paid this weekend, guess what players deciding to do? So some of the bigger players, I think Bubba Watson is one. I have some very big names who make this switch. And I believe not Jack Nicklaus. What's his shark name again? I can't remember the guy name, but there's a popular older golfer who is one of the heads of the Live Tour, and he's responsible for attracting more players. So players apparently getting paid appearance fees on Live Tour that would be higher than if they had one PGA tournament. What do you think players going to do when I sit down with my family and I try to decide what to do? You get guaranteed money as an athlete, especially Americans. I don't see why Americans against this idea, and not I shouldn't say Americans, but the PGA themselves pushing a narrative. Well, Saudi Arabia, you're gonna play for these oil thing, and 9/11. Like, that is the biggest stretch I ever hear in my life. So they're trying to say it's unpatriotic because you're gonna support these 9/11 be like Saudi Arabia had anything to do with. I don't know. I this is news to me if Saudi Arabia had something to do with 9/11, or if you're just stereotyping that they're looking like Bin Laden's when they're wearing them kind of clothes, so they mustn't get involved in golf. So it's un-American for you to go and take their money. When you do the research, apparently the US government, one of the biggest trading partners is Saudi Arabia. You had to love the hypocrisy. The largest businesses in the States doing loud business with, we have oil deals with Saudi Arabia, but all of a sudden a player mustn't take the money to go over to. And you know what's surprising about the whole thing to me, and why I decided to talk about it this week? Because Tiger Woods, who is one of the first billionaire athletes to ever be, before he had his issues, right? Before he had his little issues of household. And let me not laugh at that. I just saying the episode, you can't laugh at that, right? So his household issues. He is leading the charge now, calling for players to not go on the Live Tour. Because if you go and you sign up with Live, they're banning you from the PGA Tour. You can't come back. And sometimes they're talking about banning you for life once you're over there. And imagine Tiger Woods is the one over there making the call to say, yo, come back, respect the PGA. The PGA is what have us where we are. And blah. I'm very surprised to hear this because I saw some videos with Tiger Woods. 2 incidents I'll bring up with Tiger Woods, right? I saw Tiger Woods talking about why he's so successful and citing the fact that when he's on tour, as a youth trying to get into the tour, become a professional golfer, he said that there were many golf courses that in this era here, he had to change in the car park because he wasn't allowed in the clubhouse as a black golfer. And he used to just get there ahead of his tee times, and he never used to ask too much questions. He used to just ask, "Well, where's my tee time?" And where, well, you understand? This is. So he talking about this kind of treatment from and endorsed by that same PGA Tour. And he was talking about it in a different context, right? He was saying that he used to use these things as fuel for why he became the greatest golfer ever. But just a little surprised that he would defend these same people years after when people go in and find a living, no pun intended, in a different tournament that are making some more sense. You know what I mean? And America, who's so competitive and things, have a tendency to create the most monopolies and defend these monopolies. I think it's unfair that athletes go through the whole collegiate system without getting paid at all. And the colleges are able to sell their likeness, the jerseys, the numbers, the name. The colleges sell those things and get more money than the NBA. So, for instance, when you look at, let me look at the NFL. First time I went in Atlanta and went in a Georgia Bulldogs store. The merchandise that was selling, they're selling faster than the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Falcons, all them things. The Bulldog store is the action. I would have never thought that. I would have thought the professional leagues would outstrip these things, but the college leagues at times have bigger stadiums in terms of capacity of the stadium than the professional team in the same city or in the same state. So the college is making money off of these players. Players can't make no money off of their own likeness or their own skill. You finally turn professional and you have basically a monopoly. So call it a monopoly like the PGA or the USTA, or call it a cartel like what the NFL is, where basically all the teams come together. And if they have to vote on changes to the NFL system, all 32 teams have to vote unanimously. So if I go and sell my team to somebody else, the other 31 owners must agree unanimously who I go and sell that to. All them things is basically creating monopolies and making it unfair for the real talent in the thing. The PGA response to this just shows me that they would accept without saying it. So they rather blame Saudi and 9/11 and thing. That the players is what you're trading off of. The players is how you have become relevant and made your money. And so the organization important, yes, and how you market yourself critical too. But you can't do it without the players. The players are the essential cog in the wheel. I was watching Jordan on this documentary, Last Dance. And he was saying that about Jerry Krause. He was basically saying, yeah, but the players is the most important thing in this equation. But a lot of times in business, unfortunately, the talent at the forefront is not. The people in the back office set it up so that they make the most money and make the players dependent on the system. But you can only do that when you form a monopoly. Imagine the great America, the greatest capitalist state in the world. See, looking at anti-competition, they're saying, boy, let we don't compete, let we ban them from competing here and run into the government. I always talking about all companies for that, you know. When PriceMart come here, the Grocers Association went and ran into the government. Oh God, please don't let them come, only had to stop them and don't let them think. When the Digicel was coming here, people would say, oh God, let help. These Americans doing the same exact thing and they're worse than we. And I'm very surprised. The second issue I'm surprised at with Tiger Woods is that when he had that situation with his wife and the whole infidelity and them thing, these people on the PGA Tour treat Tiger Woods like if he's a little child and basically give him some slaps and tell him, behave. You must behave in your house. You don't have no woman and you're going with waitress. No. They ban the man from a tournament or two. I can't remember how long they banned him for. And they tell him, and basically scold this man like if he's some kind of little teenager. In other words, go back in the car park and change your clothes until you know how to behave along white men. And listen to me. Listen to what I'm telling you, right? if Tiger Woods' wife was black, I don't think they would have had that same response. But they, in other words, why are you doing good white people, this good old boys club? And this same Tiger Woods is defending these people. But all right, I will continue to keep my eyes on the live tour. It making me excited from the standpoint of, I've watched golf for a long time. I find it kind of boring to watch 4 days of golf. It's nice to watch, but I just don't have the time to sit down and watch that. Or a wife who is understanding enough to allow me to do that for 4 days. But I like the idea of a condensed version of a tournament. So their tournament will be, it might be 3 days, but it's actually much shorter time on the 3 days again to watch golf and different elements coming into play, like team play and so on. And I like the approach to it. And it reminds me a lot of Test cricket and one-day cricket versus T20 cricket. And T20 has sucked me back into cricket. I tell you, the price for the tickets for the games in Fort Lauderdale was $140 a piece. I couldn't afford to go there. That would have cost me $420 for 3 weeks to go and watch a game. That was a little bit much. You know what I mean? And to watch West Indies lost. But the T20 has brought in new fans, but also re-energized some sideline or borderline fans or 1 foot in, 1 foot out fans like me, or fair weather fans. And Live Golf might just do that same thing for this. So sorry about that. I just had to talk about that. I'm probably going to watch that because I'm watching to see how many more players sign up for Live. I expect that it will get more and more players and more celebrity types. Because I see they went after Charles Barkley to try to get Barkley to commentate. And he seemed at least open enough to discuss it from a job standpoint. He said he liked his job on NBC or wherever he working for the NBA. And if he... it sounds to him like he has nothing against the players doing this and he may entertain an offer. So who knows if we will see more formats like that and formats like Ice Cube doing the Big Three basketball where retired players come in and play 3-on-3, and that seems to be getting some steam as well. Anyway, more non-sports. This is not sports either. World Javelin Champ thrown overboard the Harbour Master in Grenada. You know, nearly pressed the round of applause thing. This story, this is almost a non-story to me, right? The man win the world championship and he threw javelin and thing, and some Trinis went over there and he have a master and threw him in the water. So they sell this story like if we throw him in the water because he beat Keshorn. But it turned out to be like this was just an altercation between some people. The Trinis end up getting fined and so on. But apparently, my boy was not showing the best of behavior, Anderson Peters. Like he was really getting on bad on the boat and he was a little bit problematic and thing. But you don't want to see this among Caribbean people, right? It just reminded me how much we hold on to the negative when I saw this story. It's like last week I saw thing saying Angela Yee leaving the Breakfast Club, and she had tweeted out, the Breakfast Club will no longer be the same. Or this is the end of the Breakfast Club as we know it. And people hold on to that and say Breakfast Club is the worst show and the toxic and blah, 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 blah. Only to find out that Angela Yee was getting her own show on iHeartRadio, syndicated and everything. So they were celebrating her leaving and she have some time there before she go. But it just shows you how us as people like to hold on to negativity. So it immediately became a fractious Caribbean thing, because the first place I saw it was one of those Jamaican radio stations. I want to believe it was Irie FM. And the first thing people say is, them Trinidadians so arrogant, and they went and it's like, dude, listen, we like to hold on to these negatives. So sometimes it's just some people fall out and the whole thing unfortunate. So prayers for everybody involved, right? Before I even get into this article, salute Michael Mondesi, because he always on top of things. Michael Mondesi from Instagram Live to top of the charts. What are you doing? How you say it? What are you doing? Awesome. That's the $1 million question music creators and fans across the region are asking after Sealot's native young brother after watching or seeing Sealot's native young brother go from appearing on social media feeds to the top of the international dancehall charts in under a year. Born at Kenton Lewis, young brother was just playing around and having fun with freestyling and chanting on Instagram Live just a year ago during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns. 18 months on, and he's the most in-demand act in TNT and gaining popularity across the region, with several heavy hitters in the dancehall industry sitting up and taking notice of his talent. At just 23, young brother has the biggest party songs in the islands, including the popular 2021 releases like Trampoline, Rockin' Chair, Fed Up, as well as this year's Fet Stopper VIP. Fet Start Topper. Fet Starter Topper. Big Song VIP. His YouTube DJ party mixes are also fast becoming the #1 choice for house parties. I didn't know this was a thing. Why didn't know young brother a YouTube DJ party? And I listened to DJ Anna all this time. And DJ, what the next one name? Who was in Miami, looking a little Spanish and playing soca and whining on the beach. Or are they taking young brother? No, I wonder if a little family friendly. But I just want to make take a moment to salute this youth. We talked about him a few times on the podcast, and I'm glad to see him continuing to rise. You know, long time, things must have changed so much, but long time it used to be such a big thing. You say, God, he in papers. You have to buy a papers to see the person now. To these youths, the papers might be the least of their the least of their fame and the least of their recognition. But I do find it was nice on Michael Mondesi to take in other words, young brother might be doing more for this article than this article doing for him, which was not the case 20, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? You needed the papers to put you up there for you to really cement yourself as an artist or have a career in entertainment. But surely not the case now, right? But for me as an old schooler, it was just nice to see any papers. And just as Michael Mondesi says how I feel from watching him in them brick wall kind of rooms. So being an international star, I saw him at Skilly Bang on stage performing. And I see Skilly Bang. I saw pictures with young brother performing somewhere at Skilly Bang, right? And my first thoughts was Skilly Bang is destroying this show and young brother is just backstage. What is going on here? Only to see when young brother go out there and do them songs, listen, he have the place in a frenzy. So my opinion at first was, young brother needs some real songs. Because what he doing is a set of chants, and I don't know if them chants could work in the long run. He need a song with a verse and a chorus and a topic and all them kind of thing. But I probably real wrong about that because these youths is working on determine what is hits and what is not hits. And I could tell you that when I hear that wap, 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 I thought it was pretty bad as a song. It's off key, it's off beat, but it's clearly one of the biggest songs that I have. So salute to young brother, continue to grow youth. Don't listen to no advice I had to give an old man. You continue singing your chants, and then if that is where getting where you go. Now, how bad would it be if I play a young brother at this point? I didn't have a single young brother on this thing I'm looking at here that don't have an E next to it. All right, I find one. Let me see if I could play a little slice of it for those who are listening. I don't know the age group of the listeners here, right? So nobody know what I'm talking about. So I just want to play a little slice or something he sing so you can understand where I'm coming from.
Entertainment.
What are you doing? I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm fed up.
Yes.
I'm fed up. 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 We wanna party, 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 party.
All right, here what, right? I just hearing the people who listening to this singing that and them fed up with that little clip I played, them done fed up with that already. Not everything is for everybody, right? You have a different target audience. I choose a bad song by selecting a fed up and we want to party. But I just want to get an idea who he is. I know that probably didn't help in any way. I'm going to move on. It's time to get out of here. Tobago-inspired maxi blue sneakers. I want to salute Trinidad James. Trinidad James came to Trinidad last week. Of course, is Michael Mondesi following up on this again. Rapper Trinidad James is set to launch Tobago-inspired sneakers tomorrow. James' real name, Nicholas Williams. I find you should have named yourself just Nicholas Williams. That's a better name than Trinidad James. He's teamed up with American athletic wear brand Saucony to create a maxi blue pair of kicks. The sneaker gets its name from the Blue Mad Maxi taxis that operate on this style. Tobago, a Blue Mad Maxi taxi. I'm the first person finding this out now while we're reading this, so people that know that it's a Maxi in Tobago and the blue. Okay, less than 100 pairs of these shoes will be available on sale tomorrow at tomorrow's launch. That was last week Saturday at CB's Sleek Cuts, formerly Paprika Lounge. Paprika is a barbershop now. I must read the papers more often. In Rush Street, Sinclair, James said, the shoes were retail at 800. Should I get one of them at 800? I should pay and get 800. I probably ain't getting that again. I look at this shoe as Trinidadian art, but I wonder if you're willing to sell me on one side. If I get a left side by itself, I'd buy it on 400. I look at this shoe as Trinidadian art. So if you like to collect art pertaining to Trinidad, I truly believe you'll appreciate the quality we provide with our sneakers. So Saucony teamed with James to create a limited edition shoe after being impressed with his socially conscious Homework apparel and design brand. Established in 2019, the fashion label is structured on promoting learning from a community and culture perspective. Working at Saucony has been educational as well as challenging in a very positive way. I've been a collector of sneakers for a long time. The experience in collecting could not prepare me for what I've learned since summer of 2020 when we started this project. One of the main reasons Saucony's head of collaborations, Jason Faustino, decided to work with Homework is because of my attention to culture, telling new stories at Saucony that hadn't been told yet. Being able to shine positive light on Trinidad and Tobago is always a win in my book. James said about the collaboration. So I'm going to go on a little more. James said Homework brand will select muses from TNT's past who can inspire the new generation. Their launch season focused on Miss Universe TNT 1977 Janelle Penny Commission. So he says a curriculum-based brand where we pick a muse. I don't like the word muse, but to pick a muse to base each collection off of. That muse is someone we believe you would appreciate if you did the homework on them. For season 1, we chose Penny. Trinidad and Tobago presented the world with its first Miss Universe 1977. Every young black aspiring model from Trinidad to America should know about her. That's how we feel, he explained. I like where he going with this. Trinidad James is a sneaker collector. If you don't know him, he's my rapper, right? He had a little hit. Gold on my chain. Gold all in my rings. Gold all in my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Or like Neo might have find out, side girl, no main girl don't want me no more. So he had a couple hits in the space as a rapper over there, and he had the name Trinidad in his name, which we will always like and hold on to, right? But I like the fact that he's telling a story, and he honestly enough to almost admit that while he's telling his story, he's learning about it. Like I saw him, he said he was riding a bike through a Rima and he was talking about Mighty Sparrow and talking about Janelle Penny Commission. And he talks about them almost like if he now learned about this information too and he's so wowed to find out more about his home. So there was a genuinity in the way he puts out his collections. And you can't help but salute that. I remember when he bring out a shoe the other day, he said it was on sorrel. And then we see a hibiscus. And then I myself say, well, hibiscus is not sorrel. And he had to say, well, you could make sorrel out of hibiscus. Me didn't know that. But so I like the little learning on what he's doing and is forcing people. So if you don't understand what the homework thing is, he almost puts out a lot of information about his muse on the site. So the muse could be Janelle Penny Commission, it could be Sorrel, it could be Mighty Sparrow, for instance. And he forces you to learn things on the site. I didn't go on the site myself, right? But my assumption was that it's sort of like a quiz and you have to go through these things. And that allows you the ability to buy his limited edition shoes. So in other words, he was saying on Blaze and them show recently, the shoe available for everybody who did their homework. I kind of like the concept, and it reminds me a lot of what I want to salute my guy Jerome Brammes. One day I call Brammes on this podcast. I mean, as if I got delaying on that for too long, I should really get on top of that. But Brammes is a man who created a brand by the name that we know as Trinidad, right? And I guess there are some disputes over the Trinidad movement versus the Trinidad brand. But I always admired that he started his brand from scratch. And you could, if it's your brand, you could make it about anything. You could just basically make it about what sells and what's popular and what funky and what works. But brand story is so important. And it's like, why not choose your brand story about something that's meaningful to the culture that it came from? And that's exactly what Brammes does, because there's so much stories behind his apparel where you could learn a little bit more about maroons in Jamaica. Or he has a jersey too that is about maxi culture in Trinidad and always about. And when you hear him talk about it too, which is unique to hear him talk about those things because of his very, very broad perspective on Caribbean culture. And that's something that I just didn't know he had when we went to school together. And I didn't know he was, and I don't know if that's something he accumulate after over the years and stuff, but I know he was such a well-traveled, well-learned fella about Caribbean culture. He's just on top of it. And it started off for me, following his journey, it started off for me like he was educating me a lot about Trinidad and what fashion was like. And he take, like a simple thing he uses, take a galvanized fence and make it into a jersey. And a galvanized fence is a very Caribbean thing when you think about it, But it's just so much about the culture in the Caribbean itself. And it allows us to not just learn for us, as I say, I very much part of Trinidadian culture, but I learn a lot from Brammes. I learned a lot from Trinidad James. Just the hibiscus thing alone, I was like, all right, well, I need to shut up. But I find it to be so unique and so admirable and worth mention that these guys take not just a brand, but their life's purpose and their passion and root it firmly in our culture. When neither of them had to do that. I could say it like that. I don't think either of them need to do that. But they both would have had great careers with or without the name Trinidad as part of what they do, or the Caribbean culture as part of what makes up their brand. So it's something that I always admire and always salute, and somebody I'll always continue to support. You know, since the beginning of this podcast, I say I'll get some Trinidad things and make that a part of the thing. You know, because talking about this, and there's only nice sign and thing. I have to do better than this. And start to localize my way on this podcast. But we get in there. We have some things in store where our culture is concerned, right? Last but not least, I wanted to make sure that we highlight where I saw on loop this week. A Calypso icon David Rudder was conferred the Order of the Caribbean Community. You know what I mean? So I said, not a man like Brammes, a man like Trinidad James, to make David Rudder something. David Rudder is a man we had to work with, because as much as these fellas, when the late 80s, when Rudder was running, I believe it's 86, where he would have won Calypso Monarch, we had to keep in mind that Rudder is now not a young man. Rudder is one of the elder or the veteran artists. It's not a young boy we watching out there. So we had to be so conscious of these things, especially us being on, I say 40s loosely, right? For everybody who listening to this. If you listen to this, you're in the 40s in your soul. So if you're much older than 40, you're young at heart. If you're younger than 40 and listen to this, you're old like hell. But we are the people now who are to help transition what we would have seen from our parents and grandparents and transition into this generation. I was talking to somebody today and I was saying that to some people, right, when you say, I'm feeling it, baby, some people will think about Baron immediately and some people will think about Swappy immediately, and we mustn't make that into a problem. We are the crossroads where education is concerned between the generations. And we had to run our leg now because our parents let us know certain things. They let us know Calypso 10, they let us know FET, they let us know the Marsh Gra Road March and all these kind of things. And that's where, just like Trinidad James and my boy Brammes would have find their passion in these places. I find my passion in that little crossroads, you know, in terms of how can we help bridge the gap and get people to know more. So I want to play some words from one of the wisest men, or the founder of soca music, before we jump into a couple of David Rudder to get out of here.
Soca is a combination of East Indian and African rhythms. The beginning of the whole thing was the purpose of soca in the 70s, as a matter of fact, is about anywhere around 69 to 70. But the purpose was to bring the East Indian and the Africans in Trinidad together. So there was a combination of the two main rhythmic structures in Trinidad to create a sound that would be totally Trinidadian. Let us call it a Douglas rhythm, so to speak. And it is not soul as American soul, but the soul of Trinidad, the soul of Calypso, the inner man.
It's such important words from the great man. That's the great Rash Shorty I hear in there, right? Such important words from him, man. I just wanted to take in a few of them words before, as David Rudder receiving the award from the Caribbean. Now, I didn't know again that the Caribbean award, I didn't know we had a Caribbean award like that now, but thank God that we do, and thank God that David Rudder is one of the first people to get that. So I wanted to play for you a few David Rudder songs that was so meaningful to me growing up. And some of them might be obvious. Well, how much I could play? I just asked him to play two. So one of them are a little obvious, and one of them might be unique in terms of the era that we grew up in. But this song, so meaningful to me. Taking a piece.
that your heart is a fire? Oh yeah. And does it tell you that your pain is a liar? Oh yeah. Does it wash away all your unlovely? Well, are you ready for a brand new discovery? Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Yeah, yeah. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. I say that I am the seed of the growling tiger now. I got to sing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. It is a living vibration, rooted deep within my Caribbean belly. Lyrics to make a politician cringe, or turn a woman's body into jelly. Shake it, mama, shake it, mama. It is a sweet soca music, Calypso. They could have never refuse it, Calypso. It make you shake like a Shango now, Calypso. Why it is you shaking, you don't know, that's Calypso. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Yeah, yeah. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. I say that I am the seed of Attila now. I'm like a honey, I got to sing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. Oh, 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 yeah. I can still hear lion roar through Greenwich Village, while executor kills them dead at the ribbon. Lord Invader conquers Berlin, but their hearts this time. And Lord Kitchener making old London feel so new.
Yes.
Beginner and terror too. Fitzroy Coleman fingers dancing on the fret. Dancing on the fret. And when you think that he through, he has got nothing yet. It's not nothing yet. Carnegie Hall, graced by the presence of Sparrow. And when Slinger done with the tail, hear them shouting, don't go, Sparrow, don't go. Why? Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. I say that I am the seed of the spoiler now.
I wanna fall.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso. I wanna rise. I wanna rise. From the time the first bamboo cut, and we drag it down from up in the St. Anne's Hills. From the day the first shot will leave the band, the red jamming start, and today we jamming still creating rhythm that could be deadly like Headley. Only this time, this lyric and the melody was sending their soul to the boundaries. From the bongo drum to the roller guitar side. Well, ever since Europe come and she make bassa bassa, we jamming it. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Calypso, Calypso, Calypso music. Singing, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, Calypso.
Calypso. Now, this is the thing about this podcast, right? This is why it is end up with hundreds of episodes and are probably working towards thousands. Because when I sit down here for episodes to decide what two David Rudder I'm going to play, my favorite David Rudder, hands down, is Engine Room, right? But it has so much to choose from. Hammer, Bahia Gale, Bacchanal Lady, Madness, Rally Round the West Indies, Oil and Music, Song for a Lonely Soul, Ganges Meets the Nile. What do you want me to play? It's just so much songs, Trinity to the bone. It's just too many to play. So I just chose this one because in light of what we're talking about to the episode and the crime situation, only thing I like to talk about things, right? I like to be realistic too. And McDonald Jacobs and the police force in a hell of a situation where we dependent on them as the last line of defense against criminals. The first line of defense should really be people don't want to commit crime. That is a utopia. But or a society where everything organized so well that crime seems not to be an option for most people. But we're far from that. I feel sorry for people like McDonald Jacob who in these positions are in. As much as I knock them because they're men in the job, and right now we need the job done. But I just chose this David Rudder to close off the episode as a way of trying to just put us as a country in a better place than all this bad news we're hearing for the last few weeks.
Give praise, children. Give praise. Give praise, children. Yeah. Give praise. Give praise, children. Yeah. Give praise. Give praise, children. Our Father who has given us His arms that we can all feel like we're a part of this earthly heaven. Forgive us this day our daily weakness as we seek to cast our mortal burdens on your city.
hand raised. Oh God, I can't make that note. But
If you know what I mean, if you know what I mean, if you know what I mean, well, if you know what I mean, then scream. Oh, 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 give Jah his praises, yeah. Oh, 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 let Jah be praised. Oh, 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 the Father in His mercy, He sent a little soca to make we vibration raise. So Carnival Day, everybody come and celebrate, yeah. Everybody come and celebrate, yeah, yeah. See the ragamuffin congregate, yeah. Everybody come and celebrate.
hear my line, hear my line.
Everybody celebrate.
Ooh, I love my country. Oh, me lad, me lad, me lad. I feeling irie. And I had to confess, right? When this song come out, I didn't like the song, you know. I guess that from young I was a traditionalist. When I hear this song where it's one chord right through, the line song, and like maybe I spent too much time in Anglican church because all this line song, like why you so hear in Anglican church right through is amen in the end. And a weird change key in the middle of the verse and a kind of weird stop before they start the chorus. But when you're in a fete and this song plays, understand what it means to be from Trinidad and Tobago. So I just wanted to leave with this song just because we're going through too much and we could do with a break, you know what I mean? So we sending our prayers to McDonald Jacob and we wishing them and hoping that they could do a great job in stemming the tide of this recent spike in crime, and then we come back to some kind of place of normalcy where we could enjoy this place again. But until I see you all in next week,